This story took place a few years ago. My ex-husband and his family were beyond belief. My co-sister-in-law and I decided to retaliate against such husbands and in-laws. We gave them a taste of their own medicine. My name is Amy. I'm a stay-at-home wife. My husband's name is Tom. The marriage life I had imagined was nothing like it turned out to be. Tom would just go to sleep as soon as he got back from work. The only time we could talk was during meals, but he once said, "Let me eat in peace," and our conversations dwindled after that. Our conversations became like work-related messages. Discussing what time he would be home or saying he didn't need dinner because he would be late from work. I started to wonder if this is what marriage is supposed to be like. Then, I witnessed the outrageous behavior of my husband and his family. Tom's family doesn't attend funerals at all. When my father passed away 3 years ago, not even my mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law, or even Tom attended the funeral. But I was too busy with the sudden event to point out that attending funerals is the norm. During this time, only my co-sister-in-law attended and helped me a lot. Sadly, her mother passed away 2 years ago, but again, none of Tom's family, including my brother-in-law, attended the funeral. Yet, I was the only one expected to attend. I didn't mind attending, as I still remembered how she helped me during my father's funeral and wanted to help in any way. But why didn't my brother-in-law or Tom's family attend the funerals? There was a reason. On the day of the funerals, Tom's family had already planned a family vacation. I thought they would cancel the trip, but instead, they went on the vacation without attending the funerals, leaving me to attend my co-sister-in-law's mother's funeral alone. Thinking about it makes my anger surge. I could somewhat understand my in-laws not attending my father's funeral 3 years ago, but I couldn't forgive Tom for not attending. We had visited my family during the holidays and even traveled together a few times. Being an only child, my father had treated Tom like a son. That's why I couldn't forgive him. The same goes for my brother-in-law. My co-sister-in-law's mother was a very kind person, even to me. Why didn't Tom's family attend the funerals? It was natural to question that. I once asked Tom and my brother-in-law, "Why don't you attend funerals?" "Well, we're not blood related." I couldn't believe my ears, but that's exactly what they said. "We're not blood related, but we're married, so we're connected, right? They're your in-laws, so they're family, aren't they?" I said this, but neither of them would listen. No matter how much I tried to convince them, they just didn't see what was wrong with their attitude. Then they bluntly said, "They're not our real family, so why should we bother going?" Realizing that nothing I said would make a difference, I gave up. I even started to wonder if I was the one who was wrong, so I decided to talk to my co-sister-in-law, Ellie, about it. Ellie is my brother-in-law's wife. I told her exactly what my husband and brother-in-law had said. Ellie was shocked to hear their reasoning. She expressed her own dissatisfaction and anger towards my husband's family. "I just can't forgive them. I've been thinking about what to do, and I've come up with a good idea." "Amy, do you want to join me?" Ellie said with a smile. I heard her proposal and wholeheartedly agreed. We decided to act together when the time came. We were both fed up with people who didn't value their spouse's family. Ellie is truly a wonderful person. She's great at cooking, always keeps the house clean, and I respect her for so many things. She's also beautiful and has a great figure. She's too good for my brother-in-law. She treats me like her real sister, and I love her so much that I always consult her first when something comes up. She's very attentive, and I think my father's funeral wouldn't have gone smoothly without her. I'm truly grateful to her. I know that Ellie's parents are really nice people. My brother-in-law must have been taken care of by them, and yet he didn't attend their funeral, which makes me furious. Since then, I've been waiting for the day to get back at them, continuing my married life as usual. Since my husband and I barely talked anyway, it wasn't too painful to think of him as just a roommate. The day of revenge came sooner than I expected. Early one morning, I got a call from my father-in-law. My mother-in-law had collapsed and passed away. My father-in-law found her on the roadside after she didn't return from taking out the trash. It was early in the morning and a quiet area, so her discovery was delayed. The cause of death was a heart attack. I woke up my husband and sent him to the hospital right away. Then I hurriedly called Ellie. I couldn't help but think that it was finally time for us to get our revenge. Ellie and I had planned 3 acts of revenge. The first was not to attend any funerals of my husband's family. Preparing for the second act, I started packing. I gathered all my belongings, packed them into the car I bought in my name, and put my personal savings book into my bag. Since my husband's family started acting suspiciously, I had been saving money just in case. I didn't have many clothes or accessories, so packing was quick. What I left in the house were my husband's belongings, large furniture, appliances, and a letter to him from me. The second act of revenge was to hand over the letter mentioning our divorce on this day. Ellie had been looking forward to this day too. I finished preparing and went to pick up Ellie. We laughed together at how little belongings we both had. Hey, don't you think we both have too few things? Maybe it was a sign of our eagerness to divorce and leave the house? Perhaps unconsciously, we had been avoiding accumulating more things day by day. Excited, we drove to a certain place. It wasn't the hospital, but our own parents' homes. I told my mom everything that had happened and apologized for being a burden for a while. My mom, who obviously wasn't pleased that my husband hadn't attended my father's funeral, finally spoke up. She said, it was unthinkable for a person to do that. And she was overjoyed about my decision to divorce. It seems Ellie's dad had the same reaction. So, we decided to relax at our parents' homes for the first time in a while. Around noon, a barrage of calls came from my husband. Ellie was getting the same treatment, so we both set our phones to reject their calls. Then, in the evening, I met up with Ellie. We exclaimed to let our hair down and headed to a nearby spa resort to stay overnight. We drank, sang at karaoke, and had a blast. The next day, we indulged in a fancy lunch we usually wouldn't go for and went on a shopping spree. By now, our husbands must have returned home, only to find our belongings gone and an empty house with the divorce letters. They might even be getting blamed by relatives for our absence at the hospital. Serves them right. We decided to just relax and not think about anything until the funeral was over. We contacted them around the time the funeral was over. Not wanting to talk over the phone, we just emailed to meet and discuss everything with my father-in-law included. A few days later, we all gathered at the in-laws' house. Our mother died, but what are you guys doing? That was the first thing our husbands said. Why didn't you attend the funeral? We got weird looks from the relatives. They continued, ranting and raving. Ellie and I, in unison, responded. We're not blood related to your mother. What are you talking about? You said it first, remember? So we just didn't attend the funeral of someone we're not blood related to, that's all, I said with a smile. Brushing them off. The 3 of them were so shocked, they just stood there with their mouths open. Then my father-in-law tried to argue, you came into this family as wives, it's different for us. You're okay to do it, but we're not. But we're not your wives anymore, so it doesn't matter, does it? No need for us to attend your funeral. Such a shame. Ha ha ha. Ellie said, sipping her coffee. What the hell are you talking about? The husband started to get angry. Did you do anything when our parents died? Do you know how much we've put up with? We can't spend our lives with people who can't even value their wives' families. Live with your blood-related family, I declared. Then we stood up and left the house. We moved on to our third act of revenge. We had recorded the entire conversation. We sent it to all the relatives. In the email, we wrote, our parents cherished our husbands. Should we forgive them for not attending the funerals and going on a trip just because we're not blood related? What they thought after hearing the recording and reading the message. We would find out later. After that, we didn't want to deal directly with my husband's family, so we left everything to our lawyer, Mike, to proceed with the divorce. It's always best to leave it to the professionals. Despite my husband and father-in-law's grumbling, the divorce was finalized smoothly. Thanks to Mike's expertise, I even received a small amount of alimony. Luckily, neither my brother-in-law's family nor ours had children, so the divorce went more smoothly than expected. Since they were the kind of people who could go on a trip and enjoy themselves even after their in-laws' deaths. They probably weren't too attached to us. It's a bit frustrating to think about, but we felt refreshed being able to separate cleanly. My ex-husband, after our divorce, turned his house into a mess since he was never good at housekeeping. He didn't even know when to take out the trash. He started eating mostly junk food, which led to an unhealthy lifestyle, and eventually, he collapsed at work. My former brother-in-law was in the same boat and ended up canceling his apartment lease and moving back into the family home. I guess it's only a matter of time before my ex-husband does the same. The recording and email we sent to the relatives had a huge impact. They were bombarded with criticism from everyone. People like that are unbelievable. If the parents are like that, no wonder the children are too. We don't want anything to do with such people, they said, and since then, they've stopped inviting them to family gatherings. It's a classic case of reaping what you sow. As for Ellie and me, we're still great friends after the divorce. Our bond has grown even stronger since divorce. We both started working and, although we live nearby, we can't meet as often as we'd like. However, we always keep in touch and update each other on our lives. Let's definitely be happy. This is our motto. We both learned from our past marriages that rushing into things doesn't lead to happiness. It would be nice to meet someone great someday. Until then, I'm focusing on my job and self-improvement. I regret marrying my ex, but meeting Ellie was truly a stroke of luck. If it weren't for her, I'd probably still be enduring an unhappy marriage with my ex's family. I doubt I would have had the courage to divorce. I want to cherish Ellie forever, for giving me the courage to divorce and for her ongoing support. By the way, Ellie recently had a chance encounter at her new job with someone she liked in her student days. I can't wait to see how it turns out. And hope with all my heart that she finds happiness.